Asante Samuel Jr. is the perfect Miami Dolphins free agent target still available. And I would, at this point in the offseason, call it an absolute necessity that the Dolphins get Asante Samuel Jr. in their building before the season begins and before training camp begins in late July. I'll explain why here, but in a recent article from Bleacher Report, they went through some of the top free agents under 30 still available and had some potential landing spots. Miami was on there for a couple of them. It was Jair Alexander and Asante Samuel Jr., but I actually think Samuel Jr. is the better fit for Miami. And they were landed as a landing spot alongside the New Orleans Saints. We're going to talk more about Asante Samuel Jr., but make sure you give us a follow over on our IG. At Dolphins Today IG is our handle. We currently have 912 followers. We're trying to get to a K. When we get to 1,000, we'll be doing a special video for getting to 1,000 followers on Instagram. So follow us over there. We put out more posts, short-form content covering the Miami Dolphins in between our YouTube videos. So if you want wall-to-wall, 365, 24/7 coverage, make sure you subscribe. Make sure you go follow us over on Instagram. As we think about Asante Samuel Jr., we know for an 1,000% certainty the Dolphins desperately need a corner, right? I have taken Jalen Ramsey off the depth chart. He is not going to be here. Maybe by the time you're watching this video, he has already been traded. But it's clear that Storm Duck and Cam Smith can't be your top two corners if you are a serious football team. If you're telling me we're tanking, cool, go ahead. But we're not. And as many fans want to say sometimes we are tanking for 2026, that's just not the case. Because when you think of this coaching staff, this front office, they both could be fired if they have another bad season. That being Chris Grier and Mike McDaniel. So they need to be competitive. If they go 6-11, I think they're gone. The only way they keep their roster, their jobs, if they go 9-8 or 10-7, make the playoffs, and even then, if they don't win a playoff game, I could argue they should still be fired. You need a cornerback bad. So when we are talking free agents, we have to talk about corners first. We can also talk about potential trade targets and trade options for Miami as well. But Asante Samuel Jr. just makes so much sense. Maurice Moton from Bleacher Report believes that as well. Maurice said that the Herald's Barry Jackson reported that the Dolphins have reached out to Asante Samuel Jr. We've known that. As cornerback Jalen Ramsey prepares for a new chapter elsewhere, Miami makes the most sense for Samuel as a landing spot if he is fully cleared after his follow-up examination. And that's kind of where the conversation has to be had on Asante Samuel Jr. It's all about the medicals. The reason why he's not signed yet is still because of his medicals. Like, his play is a corner that probably gets $15 million per season on a multi-year contract. Like, based off what you saw other corners get this free agency, like, if Samuel Jr. was fully healthy and played a full 17 games last season, didn't have a neck injury that put his future and long-term and longevity in doubt, I think he could have got a 3 or $45 million deal like our good friend Javon Holland did. So to me, if you're Miami, when that medical checkups in early July happens, if it gets cleared, sign him ASAP. Like, Jair Alexander's a better player, sure, but I think he is a better fit for Miami due to his youth, his locker room presence. Not to say it's some elite locker room presence, as that Jair Alexander's got some major locker room presence concerns. Like, Asante Samuel Jr. is the top guy I want Miami to sign in the rest of the offseason, which is why I think he's the perfect fit. Do you agree? Should the Dolphins sign Asante Samuel Jr. this offseason? Type S if you think they should sign him. Type P if you think they should pass. I am certainly typing my S. All right, let's talk about Asante Samuel Jr., the football player now, not the injury concern. Let's take it back to 2023 when he played the majority of the season. Didn't play a lot last year. Very limited due to that neck and shoulder injury. Well, you see the difference in snap when he's purely in coverage. 147 snap man coverage, 340 zone. The Dolphins play predominantly zone at 65%, but most teams play more zone than man anyway. Now, with that being said, the part that's very enticing about Samuel Jr., he's very good in both. I mean, look at his QB rating when targeted in man coverage in 2023. That's elite. Look at the completion percentage, just barely over 50%. Also took the ball away twice. Has excellent skills when it comes to getting his hand on the ball when the ball's in the air and when he's covering in man. And he's got the explosiveness and the fluidity to drive on the football when he's in zone coverage as well. And he's got good instincts, which I really like. Like, he has got a lot of mileage underneath him for being a guy that's played in 4 years, right? 50 games played in 4 years, which is about an average of 12 and a half games a year. Now, last year, missing double-digit games is certainly going to put a dent in that. So, yeah, there's injury concern, but it's not like he is someone who just is consistently missing time. Like, he's still just 25 as well, which is why I think he is the best fit. Because if you gave him a 1-year contract to limit some of the risk due to that neck injury concern, if he plays 12, 13, 14 plus games this year, which you would hope he does, maybe even more, plays well at Anthony Weaver's scheme, well, then you can re-sign him or extend him, and he's 26 years old. Like, the timeline makes so much sense for Asante Samuel Jr. Plus, a healthy Asante Samuel Jr. is a legit outside corner for the Dolphins. A legit one. Would immediately be your CB1. Is he a CB1 in the NFL? I don't think that's what his role should be. I don't think he is. Like, to me, he primarily should be on a good cornerback room, a CB2. But he could be a CB1 for the Dolphins considering what they have. And Miami is going to have to go up against a lot of good wide receivers this season. You look at their schedule. They play the Patriots twice, so you got to play Stephon Diggs. Play the Jets twice, you got to play Garrett Wilson. You got to play the Colts in week 1, that's Michael Pittman Jr. Play the Chargers, Ladd McConkey. Play the Commanders, which probably will be Terry McLaurin. You play the Steelers, so DK Metcalf. You play the Bengals, so you have to play both Jamar Chase and T. Higgins. You play the Bucks, so you got to play both Mike Evans and Chris Godwin. You play a lot of good wide receivers, man. And there's so many good wide receivers in the NFL as a whole nowadays that you're always going to be playing them. You're playing a lot of dudes, which means you need some dudes. And no offense to Cam Smith and Storm Duck, but to this point, and what I've seen, they are not guys I would feel very comfortable about going up against some of those wide receivers I just mentioned. The only corner I trust is Kader Kohou, who had an excellent season in coverage last year, but he is a predominantly nickel guy. He is too small. He can't go outside and guard a Mike Evans, a Jamar Chase, a T. Higgins, a Stephon Diggs, a Garrett Wilson. They come in the slot, okay, I'll trust Kader Kohou to take him on a route. But playing on the boundary, Kader can't do that. So you need to get better at that spot with Ramsey on the outs. And as I have said it so often in the offseason, cannot trust Cam Smith or Storm Duck. So bring in Asante Samuel Jr. And if they do sign Asante Samuel Jr., we'll be breaking it down and having a very fun time on the show. So hit that sub button for content every day, 100% free. We'll have mini camp coverage, or we had mini camp coverage. We have it all here on the channel. So subscribe and join us. Now, I want to take the time at the end of today's show. How about this underrated free agent target? Because on that free agent target, or best free agents available under 30 years old list, Jack Jones was on there. And I kind of forgot he was a free agent. Now, I wouldn't label him as a perfect target, but what if the Dolphins went over and signed the former day 3 pick, former Patriot, former Las Vegas Raider? He's got relatively solid career coverage numbers. According to Pro Football Focus, 92.6 QB rating when targeted. That is flipped, by the way. Excuse me. That is 16 PBUs, 7 interceptions. He does not have 16 interceptions. That would be insane. Not bad numbers for Jack Jones. Now, there's a lot to question when it comes to Jack Jones because he's a little bit of a head case at times and has some off-the-field concerns, which I don't love. But I could be very intrigued with adding him. I think he's more talented than anyone you got on the roster right now. Maurice Moton talked about Jack Jones as a free agent. I wanted to show what he had to say. Said that Jones had an up and down 2024 season that included disciplinary first quarter benching following a lackluster effort in week 3. But he led the team in pass breakup 16 and interceptions 3 for the campaign, but also gave up 8 touchdowns in coverage. So there's mixed numbers on what Jack Jones did in coverage. He's also an absolute wild card in the locker room. You saw him get benched a couple times and put away from the team in New England. You saw him then get released halfway through the year, latch on with Las Vegas, and have issues with Antonio Pierce, who was like a father figure to him, where they worked together at Arizona State, where Jack Jones went to college. And that's the one concern you have with Jack Jones. If he couldn't work with the person that knows him the most, loves him the most, and knows how to get the best out of him, and Antonio Pierce, will he work anywhere else in the league? So that is the one question you would have about Jack Jones, but I wanted to talk about the idea of maybe signing the former Arizona State corner. So let me know, before I give you my full thoughts, do you have interest in Jack Jones? Type Y for yes, type N for no. Let me know your thoughts down in the comment section. I think, based off where we're at right now, he would be the most talented cornerback on the roster. That includes Kader Kohou, Storm Duck, Cam Smith, Jason Marshall Jr., everybody on the roster. Jack Jones is more talented than them. But that baggage of the off the field, the locker room, do you want to add that to a group that has had some culture question marks over the past 3 seasons already? I don't know. Let's throw it back to Maurice. If Jones focuses on making simple plays rather than spectacular ones, he could be a solid starting corner. However, his departure and benching at his previous spots are red flags. Still, Jones could be a serviceable veteran starter for a team that needs an experienced cover defender on the boundary. Like, that's my point. Like, he's experienced, he could cover on the boundary, and he's a playmaking corner. In a rough 2024 season, there's no doubt about that. But you watched him in his first 2 years, 2022, 2023, he was really good in coverage, man. He really, really was. Now, in 2024, it wasn't as good. He gave up a QB rating of 115.8. That is pretty bad, man. That is rough. And to make it worse, according to Pro Football Focus, he gave up 10 touchdowns. Maurice said 8. Jack has 10 according to PFF. Not ideal. Not ideal. Now, could you get the best out of him? Maybe. And one thing that would probably put a plus in the Jack Jones box is that he would be a very cheap option. At this point, with his concerns off the field and in the locker room and his struggled play last year, I don't think he is going to be getting a big contract. Hell, he might not get one in general. So, just another option out there that I wanted to talk about on the show. Clearly still want Asante Samuel Jr., but I figured, hey, why not? Let's talk a little bit about Jack Jones. And that's why I sub to the channel, because breaking down everything. And if the Dolphins do make a signing at corner, we'll have you covered with a video. It's a lot of fun talking Fins football every day. And hopefully a good season's on the horizon. Go Fins.